Yo, what is up, y'all? My name is Robert Donaldson, and welcome back to another episode of Rob's Best Bets. And in this episode, baby, we are talking about week 8 of college football. And I know I didn't post a video last week. There's been a couple weeks here that I haven't posted a video, but if you did follow on Twitter, which I always highly encourage because all of my plays go up there if they're not on here, we had a great week of college football. It was one of our better weeks. We turned over 11.41 units, and it was much needed because we've been kind of treading water, just kind of ping-ponging back and forth between good week and kind of a meh week, a bad week, and then just another meh week. And, you know, it's nice when you're having one of those really gratifying, really satisfying weeks where you just perform and show all out. And I mean, the last 2 weeks, we've hit Vanderbilt on the first half money line. Last week, we hit Florida on the first half money line in a 3-0 first half against Tennessee. And man, I'm amped up to get into these picks. But before we jump in, I do want to give a massive shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's video. And again, you know, I shout them out every single video. They have a great platform. I mean, if you're into the daily fantasy scene, if you're into the college football pick'em scene, if you like player props or those player type bets, it's a great platform to get involved in, and you can use code ROBDFB at sign up and you'll get a pretty sweet deposit match bonus there as well. But without further ado, y'all, let's jump into week 8. All right, for our first pick, we are going to be starting squarely on Saturday. For Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday bets, you can find those on Twitter/X at RobDFB, but let's go ahead and focus on noon Eastern time, the opening kicks of the day, and we're going to go out to Ryan Field, or kind of Ryan Field in Evanston, Illinois, and we're going to be taking a look at a matchup between Northwestern and Wisconsin. And when you're looking at this matchup, man, you know, I live out here in the Midwest. We're hitting a pretty serious cold front for the first time all year round, and when you're looking at the over-under for this game, we're getting a total north of 40, and that's because of recent results of these two ball clubs kind of, you know, showing out offensively, putting numbers on the board. But this is still a traditional Big Ten matchup in a very windy environment and probably a little bit of a chilly environment at noon Eastern time here on Saturday. So let's go ahead and take the 41.5 points to go under here for 3 units for our first play on Saturday. Next up, we are staying in that noon Eastern time window, and we are taking a look at a game between Miami and Louisville. And Miami has looked kind of fraudulent in the past couple weeks. I mean, you look at that Virginia Tech game on Friday night, they looked shaky. They probably should have lost. And when you're looking at that Hail Mary review, it was a 50-50 coin flip, but even before then, I think that they were getting outplayed by Virginia Tech for most of the ball game. And then they go over to Cal, and they have to get the benefit of a couple calls and maybe a missed call at the very end to actually win that game as well. A lot of, you know, bullets being dodged for Miami. And Louisville has had their struggles this season as well, but this is a get-up game. This is what they're kind of looking to do, and I'm going to take those 5 points for 2 units for our second bet here on Saturday. Next up, we are taking a look at an SEC matchup in the noon Eastern window between Auburn and Missouri, and this is in Columbia, but we were on Texas A&M last time out when they absolutely punked the Missouri Tigers, and the reason why they punked Missouri is they had a quarterback on the other side for Texas A&M that could scramble and pick up those improvisational yards, and Missouri's defense had no answer for anything that Texas A&M tried to do. And you know, Hugh Freeze has had his issues this year. Auburn has had their issues with turnovers. But Missouri is a team that defensively I don't think is going to pose much of a threat in comparison to some of these teams that Auburn has faced so far. And we're getting 4.5 points here with a road team that I think might actually be on an even playing field when you're looking at the talent standpoint and even looking at how they've actually performed. I know that's kind of a hot take, crazy to say, but I think Missouri is going to be fading fast here. So let's go ahead and take those 4.5 points here with Auburn for 4 units. And let's go ahead and take that first half money line here as well. Next up, we are taking a look at the 3:30 Eastern window, and we're going to be taking a look at Alabama going into Knoxville, Tennessee. And Tennessee just flat out has not been impressive. Their offense has looked stagnant. What we kind of know about Oklahoma right now is they're a mess, and that win in Norman now looks a little bit discredited. I still think it's a good win, but they weren't really dominant per se, even though we were betting on that game. They really just kind of held on in the second half and didn't really do anything to move the needle. And I know Alabama struggled with South Carolina last week. They lost to Vanderbilt outright 2 weeks ago, which we had a heavy hand in on Vanderbilt because Vanderbilt's actually good this year. But I think Alabama's going to be able to turn up the juice here in Knoxville. I'm not really bought and sold on this Tennessee team even making the playoffs at this point. So let's go ahead and lay those 3 points with Alabama for 3 units for our 4th play here on Saturday. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at another 3:30 Eastern Time window game, and we've been really dominating the MAC. And this game is between Western Michigan and Buffalo, and Buffalo has been one of our darlings. We picked them to upset Northern Illinois. They did that. We also took them last week against Toledo. They beat them by 15. And in this matchup, we are actually going to be fading them. I do think this is a great matchup for Western Michigan. This is a game that I think the line is telling you the story. And even in the early going, I was looking at 2.5, getting 2.5 points with Western Michigan just a couple days ago. And now it's a straight pick 'em with Western Michigan actually being the slight favorite. So let's go ahead and lay 4 units down here on Western Michigan. I do think this is a game that they win outright. I've loved that money line from the start. Wish I got a better number, but I am not upset with where this price is sitting right now. Next up, we are taking a look at a 4 p.m. Eastern Time window game between New Mexico and Utah State. Again, apologies. I know this is a very obscure game, and a lot of you people probably have a lot of other games that you'd rather be watching, but at the same time, when there's value, there is value, and I think there's a ton of value here with the Utah State Aggies, and the reason why I think there's a lot of value, this team has been very battle-tested in the early goings. They've had some really tough matchups, and yeah, have they been blown out a handful of times? Absolutely. Of course, they are who they are, but who they are is far superior, I think, than New Mexico, and this game is getting priced very favorably to take their side. So let's go ahead and take the Aggies here for a hefty 4 units for our 6th bet of the day. Next up, we are heading out to Fayetteville, where we have Arkansas taking on LSU, and man, LSU is coming off of a crazy overtime winner where they were down for most of the game against Ole Miss. It kind of felt like they were getting outplayed. I haven't been impressed with LSU all season long in terms of this upgraded defense that they were supposed to have with, a new coordinator coming in, a new scheme being deployed, and all these players being turned over. But man, I can't get there with LSU and Brian Kelly, especially in a big game on the road. And Arkansas, you might have already kind of seen them take on Tennessee and said, hey, that was their big win of the season, but I don't think Arkansas is done yet. They took Texas A&M to the wire. That was a good Texas A&M team. They beat Tennessee convincingly at home, and I say convincingly, it was a 1-score game, but they were in it throughout. And in this game, I think Taylor Green is going to be coming back and at least be somewhat usable. So let's go ahead and take the money line here with Arkansas for 1 unit and 3 units. Let's go ahead and take those 3 points. And woo pig suey, baby. Roll Hogs. All right, for our final bet here, we're going to be taking a look at a Big 12 matchup in the 10:30 Eastern Time window. I know, I don't want to keep you guys up this late, but you're probably going to be watching this anyway if you're devoted to the betting game or college football in general. And we are taking a look at TCU going into Utah. And again, this is a very tough place to play. Utah is coming off a tough loss. And, Cam Rising out indefinitely again. Surprise, surprise. He is who he is. Your career should be done. I'm sorry. No 8th year of eligibility. I've been seeing this trending. Goodness, just give it up, man. It's not working out. I think you might have arthritis based on how you were playing and how these injuries just continue to linger. Do yourself a favor and move on. But spiel over there. At the same time, Kyle Whittingham and the Utah Utes are still a good team with or without Cam Rising. And in this matchup, I think they're going to be significantly better than TCU. So let's go ahead and lay those 4 points with the Utes at home for 3 units for our final bet here on Saturday. All that being said, I really want to thank you guys for checking out today's video, and I may or may not be taking a week-long hiatus starting on Monday. Listen, there's a lot of things that go on in the betting space, whether it's, handicapping, making content, interacting with people, going on shows, during the workday, after I get off during the workday. It's a lot, and a lot of hours get devoted to this on top of my job that, I'm devoting 40 to 50 hours per week on, depending on the workload that week. And I just kind of need to take a little bit of a week to set it back. Last week, I actually had to put down a family dog, and that was a little bit of a just kind of emotional stressor as well. So I think a week off is going to be really good for me, and I do think I'm going to take a week off here on Monday. But for all you guys who've been showing love on these past videos here on YouTube or on Twitter/X, I definitely appreciate the heck out of you guys. You guys are awesome and really kind of fuel me with passion to make these videos. I mean, these take time. 3 hours probably a pop for a 10-minute or 12-minute long video, and I get a lot of gratification out of it, out of doing so. So really appreciate you guys, and as always, I will see you in a future video. Take it easy.